17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. Attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
But on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we got biker wars. So if you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. We got a lot of things to talk about, and things are heating up in the streets with all these deportations and people not agreeing with it. Too bad. Too bad. I mean, they're getting rid of the criminals. So I don't know what people's problem is. They're people who committed crimes, who are wanted by the police, or who have convictions, and they're getting rid of them, whether you like it or not. And there's no due process. There is none of that. They don't have the same rights as me and you because they're not citizens. They do not belong here. Like if you just went to some other country and think you can just do whatever you want, it doesn't work that way. It wouldn't work that way for us. So why should it work that way for them? They shouldn't have came here in the first place. But anyway, I wanted to take a look at this video. It's quite hilarious of Selena Gomez because she is friendly with criminals.
I'm so sorry. All my people are getting attacked. The children. They don't understand. I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything, I promise.
Safe travels. She said her people, so I mean, hey, go take care of your people. It's insane. But anyway, I don't know if you guys seen, but there was a truck or a car plowed into a crowd of people in Philadelphia right after the game was won the other day. Insane. I think it was yesterday or the day before. But that's crazy. Someone would do that. But anyway, let's get to the story at hand. Remember, if you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. If you want to donate, you can donate to the show through Cash App at Chattin with Staxx, Venmo, PayPal, Super Sticker, Super Chat, Zelle, all that good stuff. And if you want to be a guest on Chattin with Staxx, hit up my email at BillStaxx2021 and we'll make it happen. So today we are talking about Anthony Benesh. So if you guys don't know who he is, he was a former Hells Angel who moved to Texas and was murdered. And we're going to get into his story. So first I'm going to play a news article and then we'll get into the rest.
Quest for power, reputation, and territory. New on the night beat, 2 leaders of the Bandidos biker gang already under federal indictment on charges of murder, facing new charges tonight. With them, 4 other alleged members of the gang, all charged with the 2006 murder of an Austin man. The Night Team's Bill Barajas was there as they had their first court appearance.
Used to riding a motorcycle, these men getting into a transport van at the federal courthouse Thursday afternoon. 47-year-old downtown Johnny Romo, 45-year-old Robert Romo, 40-year-old Jesse James Chronic Benavides, and 35-year-old Norberto Hammer Serna Jr., all facing a 12-count indictment. It accuses the man in the killing of a rival biker, Anthony Benesh, who was reportedly trying to start a Texas chapter of the Hells Angels. The document says the man warned Benesh to stop recruitment and activities for the Hells Angels. He ignored them. On March 18, 2006, the group murdered him outside an Austin restaurant. All four are now being charged with one count of discharging a firearm during a murder in aid of racketeering. Johnny and Robert Romo are also being charged with murder in aid of racketeering. Also included in the indictment, two of the highest-ranking members of the Bandidos, National President Jeffrey Faye Pike and Vice President John Xavier Portillo. Pike and Portillo are being accused of directing, sanctioning, approving, and permitting members of the Bandidos to carry out acts like murder, attempted murder, robbery, assault, intimidation, extortion, and drug trafficking to protect and enhance the organization's power, territory, reputation, and profits. Court records show the Bandidos declared it was at war with the Cossacks.
Shots fired.
This shootout at a Waco restaurant in 2015, perhaps the most publicized show of that war, where 9 bikers were killed. Pike is currently out on bond. Portillo remains in federal jail. Both are waiting for their trial dates.
The 4 men charged today are facing the maximum sentence of life in prison or death with a $250,000 fine. They were given no bond and are expected back in court on March 7th. Live from the federal courthouse, Bill Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Leaders of the Bandidos motorcycle gang have been convicted of a list of federal crimes that include conspiracy to commit a 2006 murder in Austin. Bandidos President Jeffrey Pike was found guilty of 8 charges. Vice President Xavier Portillo had even more. He was convicted on 13 charges, which include drug trafficking. Authorities say both ordered other Bandidos to kill Anthony Benesh. He was killed in March of 2006 outside an Austin restaurant in front of his children. Prosecutors say Benesh had been trying to start a local Hells Angels chapter and was killed when he didn't follow Bandidos' instructions to stop. Pike and Portillo will be sentenced this fall.
Crazy story. If you guys never heard of this one, it's pretty wild. So this is the restaurant where it happened at. So it says, just after 7 p.m. on March 18th, as the final traces of the twilight dissolved into the evening sky, 44-year-old Anthony William Benesh III, his girlfriend, his 9-year-old and 11-year-old sons finished up their dinner and walked out the front door of Sisconi's Pizza in far northwest Austin. It was a typical Saturday night at the popular eatery where Benesh had been a regular customer for several years. The New Jersey-style pizza joint was bustling with diners, including several other families with children. Seconds later, as the 4 approached their car, a single bullet fired at a distance from a high-powered rifle pierced Benesh's skull, tore through his brain, blowing bits and tissue onto the stunned children, and dropped his body onto the pavement. In an instant, Benesh was dead. It was very shocking, the pizza owner said. Saturday night, people are coming and going. The parking lot was packed. Nobody heard or saw anything while the incident unfolded. At least as far as had been made public, no one apparently saw who fired the lethal shot. Police have declined to release any details about the shooting itself, and nobody saw the muzzle flash or heard the distinctive lightning crack of the rifle. And they have made only general comments about the possible position of the assassination. It could be someone from a car, the US 183 access road, or a nearby overpass. We have very few things going for us in the investigation, police sergeant said. One thing is the information you're going to ask about. Police have been uncharacteristically outspoken on who they believe the shooter may have been. So if you guys don't know, what was going on is this guy, he's allegedly from, well, he's not allegedly, he is from Long Island. He moved out to Austin I'm not sure exactly what year. I might say it in this article. But he was from Long Island. He moves out to Austin, and he was a member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. It says, spoken about the would-be shooter. Point, we feel fairly comfortable that we're talking about people. We try to consider who would have motive. We go from there to trying to eliminate and implicate those individuals. And in this case, he says evidence implicates members associates with the infamous Bandidos Motorcycle Club. Everything has been pointing towards the Bandidos, he says. Few or no things point away. According to police, family, and others who knew him in the months just before the murder, Benesh had gotten cross paths with the Bandidos, riding around town. He crossed paths with members of the Bandidos by riding around town, flashing the colors, red and white, and a death head insignia patch. The national rival motorcycle club, the Hells Angels. Police said it appears that Benesh was attempting to start a Texas chapter of the California-based rivals. More importantly, sources say Benesh was proceeding with a plan without the permission of the Bandidos leadership. In an exclusive and secretive world of the nation's most notorious motorcycle clubs, the Bandidos, the Hells Angels, the Outlaws, and the Pagans are the four largest. Benesh's actions would indeed cause a stir in the clubs. They are extremely territorial, and Texas is the exclusive territory of the homegrown Bandidos. In short, says law enforcement officer with extensive knowledge of the clubs, Benesh's attempts to start a Texas Hells Angel chapter would not go, to put it mildly, as well received by the Bandidos. Oh no, says the officer, it would not go over well. His family and friends agree that Benesh was treading in dangerous waters, in essence, thumbing his nose at the Bandidos. But nonetheless, he remained unconvinced that the Bandidos are responsible for his murder. To snipe somebody in front of their kids is definitely not the style of the Bandidos, said one person familiar with both Benesh and the Bandidos, and who was asked to name anonymous. First, they would knock you off for doing what he allegedly was doing. You might get a good thumping or rough you up. They certainly wouldn't snuff you in front of the world and your kids. This is not to reject outright notion that the Bandidos might be behind the job, but rather to note that those who knew Benesh would think circumstances could be more complicated. Benesh was no angel, says his uncle, Richard Benesh, and he wasn't afraid of much. And Benesh had a knack for pissing people off beyond whoever he might have angered within the Bandidos organization. In short, while the police seem convinced that the Bandidos are behind the hit, others say the list of people with potential motive to kill Benesh is longer than a single entry. In order to solve the mystery, it seems likely that police will have to plunge into the close-knit society of the Texas Notorious Motorcycle Club, but also into the darker corners of Anthony Benesh's life. It is crazy that he would have the balls to be starting a Hells Angels charter in Texas. Everybody in the world knows that the Bandidos are like a really strong group in Texas. Them, the Cossacks, they like are Texas grown, you know. They're like a staple of Texas. I don't know if there was ever a charter of Hell's Angels in Texas. I don't believe so. Here's another picture of him. Maureen, how are you? Jason, what's going on? Yeah, I don't know about that, Calvin. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? Thank you guys for joining me today. So eventually people get picked up for this and they start talking. So Benesh came to Texas in the early 70s from Long Island, Babylon, New York. Though he had fairly tumultuous childhood, his father was an alcoholic, blah, 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 blah. Benesh was smart. He was working as a contractor. He was nearly encyclopedic knowledge of building codes, used in scoring him in a recent gig. The local contractor building low-income housing. Benesh embraced fatherhood, perhaps in response to his estranged relationship with his own father. At a press conference shortly after his murder, Benesh's ex-wife, Carol Hall, told reporters that he was a loving father who was devoted on his sons, who doted on his sons and enjoyed spending time with them on the weekends, the boy said. They loved their father very much. Nonetheless, the family and friends conceded that Benesh also had a dark side. He was kind of in your face, said Richard. He was the kind of guy that if you were in a fight with him and he pulled a gun out, he'd say, go ahead, pull the trigger. I'd say, yeah, that's not too bright to be like that. And especially to think you're going to do that in another club's territory. So this is the place where it happened. And he was walking right out that front door. Boom. And this is one of the alleged, well, he was convicted. So it was one of the presidents or the national president of the Bandidos. Riding the territory. Thanks to that reputation, acquaintances said they weren't completely surprised. Several months before his death, Benesh began riding around town supporting an Angel's death head patch on his leather jacket and the club's red and white colors on his truck. Benesh had long been into bikes and riding his Harley Davidson, said Richard, who's also a veteran and an avid rider nonetheless. Benesh's latest show of brazenness was troubling. He stopped by at the house for a visit and he showed me his colors, Richard recalls. I said, you got a gun? Richard's response is somewhat, his underlying concern was real. And in that world of so-called one-percenters or outlaws, biker club's territory is everything. Indeed, it is based upon which club has the power. The rules that have governed territorial rights are strictly enforced. Now, I'm going to have to reach out to a couple people that I know and see even if they did, right? If anyone's watching that has any association with any of these people, if, say, this guy Benesh came to the Bandidos and was respectful, and he said, we want to open a Hell's Angel charter down here in Texas, what would they tell him? I pretty much know probably what the answer would be, but I want to know what they would tell him. No, absolutely not, Jason. Yeah, I'm still alive. What do you mean? I ain't going nowhere. Why would you say that? I'm still alive. Damn right I'm still alive. You still alive? I think the answer is no. They definitely probably would not let them start a charter down there in Texas. Working out sometimes uneasy territorial compromises, Colorado, Nevada, and Washington, says one law enforcement officer. There are absolutely no ambiguity about which club owns the Lone Star State. Texas is exclusive domain of the 40-year-old Bandito Motorcycle Club, founded by an ex-Marine and a Vietnam veteran. Texas in 1966. That means, in big part, the Bandidos have the power to decide not only when and where and by whom individual Bandidos charters will be formed, but also the exclusive power to sanction the formation of independent Bandito support clubs. You still alive? Is that a trick fucking question, man? Guess what? You ain't alive in the chat no more. So good luck with that one. Rogan is a troll. Yeah, I don't know any of those people, man. I could care less. I just keep doing my thing. I got a lot of things going on, great things, and I'm just gonna keep it moving. But anyway, not child's play. Given the Bandidos' temperamental reputation and their adherence to territorial protocol, it was confounding, perhaps bold, or an instant just plain stupid that Anthony Benesh would be flashing the Angels colors so prominently while living so deeply within Bandito territory. If he merely been into his bike and into riding, it would be one thing. Indeed, plenty of people who ride heavy-duty motorcycles are not members of any club, thus rarely butt heads with the Bandidos and their allies. But flashing easily recognized colors of a club which you don't belong, or a club that's not the Bandidos approved, is another thing. Another question I have for anyone out there that knows, was this guy a member of the Hells Angels? Does anybody know that? Or was he just like wearing it like a Timu patch or something? That's another question I got, because they're saying that they don't know if he was even a real member. It says right here, flashing will easily recognize colors in which you don't belong. So I don't know. Maybe he was not a member. Some say Benesh had at least at one time expressed ultimately interest in joining the Bandidos, and that the club's rejection left him bitter. Others say, although the Bandidos declined to welcome Benesh into the fold, it wasn't until an ex started dating a Bandito that added the BMC to his enemies list. Whatever sources say, sometime last year, Benesh and a friend devised a plan to start up a chapter of the Hells Angels in Austin. And the friend, possibly with Benesh, made a trip west to discuss the matter with Angels leadership. What exactly happened on the trip is unconfirmed, but according to the same sources, the men were told that the Angels would not recognize creation of a Texas chapter, and certainly not without the Bandidos' knowledge. But they would never, ever approve that. So, I mean, it's pretty much your answer. Whatever the outcome of the trip, whatever the outcome of the trip, by the start of the year, Benesh already was wearing a death head patch he had made It wasn't official angel patch and was sporting the club's red and white. It wasn't long before members of the Bandidos took notice. They were not amused. Benesh was warned a number of times by a number of people, including members of his family. Stop this crazy behavior, says someone familiar with the situation. Richard Benesh says he told Anthony what he was doing was reckless and dangerous to a club's authority. Benesh's unauthorized chapter would certainly be a beef as far as the Bandidos are concerned. And that really should have sunk into Anthony's head, says Richard. These aren't kids here. This is serious. Police say Benesh got threatened phone calls and messages from members, and that he was told his friends and family that he suspected he was being followed. He made some indications to people and comments in effect that, why are people following me? APD homicide lieutenant said he may have known that he was in over his head, but he wasn't interested in backing down. Still, not even Uncle Richard, who is fairly familiar with the club and many of the Central Texas members, though that Benesh defiance would result in death. I figured they would run him off the road or put him in the hospital, he says, but I never thought they would shoot him in the head. Insane. This is a really crazy story, and it's quite long, but we're going to do a part 2, and I appreciate everyone taking the time. We got a lot of shows dropping tonight. Don't miss Breeze Part 2, starting an MC cult killing machine. Shout out to Breeze. Go subscribe to his new YouTube channel, Extensive Human. And I got a bunch of new guests joining me on the show. I'm going to be dropping videos every single day. You know how I do it. Tomorrow we'll be dropping more content. I appreciate all you guys taking the time to watch this show. Stay tuned because it's about to get real. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen